in the Vietnam era. I never did go to Vietnam, but I was in the Vietnam era, and I served in Desert Storm 1 in 1990, early 1990. That's a good question. I was drafted into the Army. I got a draft notice in early 1969 to report for induction into the United States Army on a certain date. I think it was in like August. And I didn't want to go in the Army because I just didn't want to go in the Army. My brother was in the Air Force, and that's kind of what I had my mind set on when I did get a draft notice. So I went on and joined the Air Force. I thought I liked the Air Force a whole lot better than the Army, so that's the route I went. I graduated high school here at Weiner in 1967, and I had a few odd jobs. I went to some college. I went to college at Jonesboro for a year, or 6 months. I went to college at BB for 6 months. And I quit college down here and came back and got an odd job here, working at a service station, or just doing little odd jobs. Well, the job that I had when I went into the military actually was Weiner Fertilizer Company. I worked for Mr. Joe Matthews, who's still around. He don't run that company anymore, but he's still around. After I got in the military, everybody in the Air Force back then went to tech school in Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. There was several thousand guys there all at one time. And after basic training there, we were sent to explosive ordnance school in Denver, Colorado. We were there for from July to November of 1969. We were in training there, and we learned how to work on munitions, on bombs and bullets and hand grenades and low explosives, high explosives, all kinds of explosives. And as a matter of fact, that's what I did the whole time I was in the Air Force. I was an explosives ordnance guy. When they sent me from Denver to my first duty station, I was sent to Tucson, Arizona, out in the middle of the Arizona desert. It was hot in the summer and warm in the winter. So I was stationed there for a couple years, and I went from there to Korea, and there it just kind of took off. I was in Korea for a little over a year, and come back to England Air Force Base in Louisiana, and decided I was going to get out. So I got out in 1973, and I was out for just a little while, working at a glass company up at Jonesboro, not making much money. So I decided to go back in the Air Force, and I went back in August of '73, and was in until September 1995. I got out. Well, arriving at leaving your home, which you've been to all your life, and you get out of school, and it's a lot of excitement, and a lot of things going on that you're not used to, and having to get a job, a lot of things going on that you're not used to. It's the same. The Air Force was another job. I had to go somewhere, and leaving home was a hard part. I'd already got that over with. But going to Tucson, Arizona, a place I'd never been, didn't know anybody there. I did have one friend that followed me out of basic training, and we went to Tucson together. We were stationed at Tucson together, and we left at the same time, going to Korea together. We left Korea together, went to England Air Force Base after that together, and then both of us decided to get out, and we both got out together. And he lives in Houston, Texas. We still talk once in a great while. We'll get in touch with each other and talk about old times. And it's exciting to go different places and meet different people at anything you do, and especially in the military, because you do it over and over and over. You get used to meeting people, and you meet old friends that you go from one base to another base, and you might meet somebody from 2 or 3 bases back that you knew back then. So You meet friends all around the world.
What was the name of your friend that went?
Larry Lowe. One of my most memorable times in the military was we were in Saudi Arabia, and there was a real live war going on, and we were building bombs and cluster bomb units and ammunition just as fast as we could go, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I worked the night shift, which started at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and went till 7 o'clock the next morning. Well, I was way back in the area. The area is revetments full of explosives all over. And there was 3 guys back there that were inspecting munitions, getting them ready to issue to different customers around the base. And like I said, it was midnight, and there were some flares went off. We had flares all around the munitions area. It's about a 40 or 50 acre patch out there that was full of bombs and bullets. And we had trip flares they call it, all around. So if anybody started sneaking around out there trying to sneak up on us, they would trip a flare and we could see them. And there was security, police all around the munitions area in towers, and they had nighttime binoculars and all that. Well, there was a flare went off out there, and another flare went off out about the same area. Another flare went off out about the same area. And the 3 guys back, just as I was pulling up in this revetment, I saw these 3 guys that were supposed to be back there working, standing up on the top of the revetment looking out toward the flares. And that scared me, because when they were standing up on the revetment looking out at the flares, the lights behind them made them look like a silhouette. To anybody out into the dark desert, they would have looked like a silhouette. And a silhouette's what we use for targets when we practice. So it made me upset. And I let the guys know that I was not happy with their performance at that particular time. Things you think about during war, just like you think about any other time. You think about the job you're doing and try to keep your focus on your job. And then when you get off, especially if there's a war going on, when you get off, you're so tired you want to eat and go to bed. And like I told you before, my shift work was a 12-hour shift, but I had to stand an hour early. I had to go in an hour early for a briefing. I had to give a briefing at the end of the shift, so I was there for like 14, 15 hours a day. And literally, when you get off, you ate breakfast or lunch or dinner or whatever you want to call it, and you crawl into bed. So it's just like any other thing. You just do what you got to do to keep your sanity and to make sure that the mission is met and the airplanes get their bombs. Working around explosives is kind of hectic sometimes, and you always got to keep your mind on what you're doing. Well, one day I was in Eglin Air Force Base down in Florida, and my boss was a tech sergeant. His name was Bill Stedham. Well, Bill was drinking coffee, and he was in his light blue shirt, short sleeve shirt, and it was really storming outside. And the building we were in had rails up on the ceiling, so you could use a hoist that was attached to the rails on the ceiling, and there was bars on the insides of the windows. I don't know why, but there was. Well, Bill was standing at the window drinking a cup of coffee, and lightning struck the building, and the bars on the windows you can see sparks going up and down the bars on the windows, and you can see sparks running up and down the rails on the ceiling. My boss, Bill Stedham, reached back and got himself by the collar right here and pulled himself back away from the window. It was kind of funny, like that helps, you know, he's gonna pull himself away from the window. Well, after being in the military for years and years and years, for 26 plus years, I'd already been home several times and been back to the military several times. So we took a little vacation. We were in a station, last duty station was in Clovis, New Mexico. So we just got in the car and drove slow. I say drove slow. We just stopped at places and looked at things. We stopped over at Dardanelle and looked at the lake, and we just stopped and enjoyed our trip home. Wasn't nothing to it. We already had a house here, and our family was all here because this is where my wife and I both grew up, and our kids were here, and I mean, it was just coming home. It's just like you go to Jonesboro and turn around and come home.